Just bring your mic. Yep. Hello, namaste, and welcome to the YouTube live. Two people are already watching us, and we are so excited to have you on board. We're just going live on Brony. We wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on, the Naganwal people and Nagambi people. We pay respects to the elder, past, present, and emerging. We acknowledge that the name Brony was taken from people of the Wadi Wadi nation without permission, and we are striving to do a better for future reconciliation. Hello, namaste, and welcome back to Disha in Australia. Today we have a very special guest on board with us, and it's just finally the end of the mid-sem break, although it doesn't feel like the uni ever stop because we were still doing the assessments. But hey, Aqeel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
How are you feeling today?
Oh, good. It's been a good day. Spent it all making my personal website again.
Yeah.
Normal founder stuff.
How was your day at work?
My days at work are hard to explain as a founder and an entrepreneur. You kind of just do everything and what's needed at a time.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I saw that I have some items that are waiting on other people. So I'm rebuilding my brand again, which I guess this is coming on. This is part of that.
That's amazing. You're doing so great. And welcome to Disha in Australia. How are you feeling at Disha in Australia today?
It's good. I'm curious to see what this is about. Like, I guess I was born in Australia, but my parents are from Pakistan. I'm so grateful that I was born here for all of those opportunities that I got.
Yeah. So today's topic would revolve a lot around entrepreneurship, since you have been involved in a couple of things and a lot of inspiring things. And also, we will have the opportunity to get something out of the Aqeel's incredible mind, because the times that I've talked to you, it is just sometimes you just like blow me away by the amount of information and depth you think. So
I'm just old.
I mean, still, you gotta, I mean, the way you think is truly very fascinating to me, and I hope it's very fascinating to the users, to the viewers, and to the audience as well. Sorry, my brain is like a bit lagging today, but it'll be all right.
You're still in like user customer mode. Like, these people are just enjoying our company right now.
Yeah, I mean, I had an assessment due at 5 p.m. today, and I was working on it till 3 a.m. this morning. And then I had work till 5 p.m. And then I had literally like 30 minutes before I meet you. Yeah, so it is valid. And I'm pretty sure that it happens to all of us. Anyways, so we would start with an introduction of you.
Yeah, I just think, is my microphone working?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we're good? Okay, we're good. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. We want to start with a little introduction of yours.
Yeah, sure. My name is Aqeel Akber. My pronouns are they, she, he. I am now 35 years old, even though I look a lot younger. So everything I say, keep in mind that I've been doing this for a little while. Oh my God, has to get closer. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. So I studied nuclear physics. I basically just kept doing it because it excited me, and found my way to ANU, got into a PhD, and eventually, when procrastinating on my PhD with a couple of other my friends doing a PhD, we were doing hackathons, and out of that, it was around the time of the AI boom, so it was like 2018 or so. So that's like the first AI sort of like pickup, and people were really excited about us being able to apply our physics minds to be able to solve problems, which is very, very exciting. And then everyone wanted to hire us. So we were thought that, no, maybe we just need to, we had a dream, basically. Like, I spoke to one of my co-founders before about it, to have a place that would be a research sort of institute where we could just do things that would be for good in a way. And it was a good vessel for me to be able to grow into that, and as a leader as well. So I grew a lot of mantras, and I learned a lot about business. Like, I've never had a real job in my life, and I'm grateful now that I've exited that company, and I have now started another company with a lot more wisdom 5 years on.
That's incredible. Um, how does it feel when everyone wants to hire you, but you want to work for yourself?
Well, when you're young, they want to hire you because they don't necessarily, you haven't yet developed trust and confidence yet, which is very fair, to be honest. I had no idea. None of us had any idea what we were doing. I still don't know what I'm doing at all. I I believe that when people want to hire you instead of actually like you really want to do your own thing, the best thing you can do is just say no.
And how is it in terms of, because as a student you just do not have one thing, like you need to get a job, but once you move out of your home, you try to build an independent life where you
Yeah.
try to like pay your own expenses, like rent, like
Yeah.
going out, any sorts of entertainment that you want to do. So how do we manage that?
Well, I was lab demonstrating. In my PhD, one of the things that I wanted to do is that in a lot of people during their PhDs, they try to do some work with their professors in like a third year course or something that is like related to their PhD. But I decided I wanted to do first year lab demonstrating. And there were a couple of reasons for that. And the first was that I wanted to learn how to be able to communicate to everyday people, very complex sort of things. And a first year lab student in physics, they are high school educated, enthusiastic. And that's like exactly the demographic that I wanted to learn to practice to be able to communicate to. So I was able to lean into that. The other thing is that I wanted to be able to show and like change the culture of physics quite a bit more. I didn't like how it was very boyish, and I felt a lot of that when doing my degree and a lot of other things while doing my degree as well. And I still feel that in business, and it's I think something that I'm passionate about even today. And I've slowly just been acquiring more and more power so that I can just say no and no and no and make things my way and try to use my privilege where I can.
Yeah. That sounds really good, and that sounds like a perspective that a lot of people miss. And while having so many conversations with you, I have also seen like you try to uplift other people while you grow, which is something that we do not see on a usual basis. And being a part of the innovation ecosystem, um, I have felt this so much. Like everyone around you is having a growth mindset, and they just want to grow while you also grow with them. And do you think your environment plays a very important role?
Absolutely. It's you're the average of the 8 people that you
Yeah.
spend the most time with. That's well known. If you want to be happier, put yourself around happier people. That's well known as well. And it's a matter as well. I thought about this. Like it's a concept that I've thought about. The difference between a swarm and a hive in terms of collective behaviors. If you think about like a locust swarm, they become so crazed and individualistic that when they're flying, they have to fly offset. Otherwise, they'll just eat each other. So while they're a collective behavior that seems to be serving them, they are ultimately individualistic. And as soon as something breaks, they're dead. Whereas in a hive, you're serving a collective good. And if you do something, suppose there's 10 people and you do something for someone else and everyone's in that philosophy, you're always going to get 9x return. It's as simple as that. So if you are always giving, you will get more in return.
Yeah, I agree with that. I used to feel like um, you just like keep giving, giving, and giving, and you being the kind people, and you do not give. You do not get anything back. Especially like you navigate that a lot with friendships. And
Fake friends.
I mean,
Yeah, no, there's a lot to say there, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I used to feel that way, but I also realized that if you are giving, that would come back to you in the most unexpected ways, or in the ways that you cannot imagine those things would come back to you, and they do. And so never stop being a kind person, even though if you do not see it coming back to you. Do it because you really love doing that and you feel happy doing it. I feel like just
Can I add something to that?
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
for sure.
I think that is very much the basis philosophy that we should all have.
Mhm.
And I think that only with time and wisdom have I gained the skill to actually know who to say no to and who's going to just actually be who's a fake friend,
Yeah.
who is just using you. That only came with age, nothing else.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree to that. I mean, I turned 20 like 15 days ago, so I won't be like, I know like since 20 years of my life now. But I feel like uni teaches you so much about friendships, like you navigate friendships and you try to understand, like, oh, okay, that used to be the person I know the most and used to be my best friend, but we're no longer friends. Like, we don't even know each other. You could go to complete strangers.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I entered into Australia. So we had these uni circles where people used to connect and talk. So 3 months before uni started, I was like constantly chatting with this girl, and like we were like best friends, like buddies, and like video calls every day. The moment I came here, like I felt like she was a different person. Like I never knew this person, and the 3 months I was like, who are you? I don't even recognize you. And then we are like strangers now. We don't even know about each other anything.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, you knew this person in one context and an environment,
Yeah.
and then you saw them in person and it just didn't work. Is that right?
Yeah, that happens a lot,
This is
especially
something,
online.
yeah, I think
And
it's
that's
really
where your
sad
show
when you
update
see,
comes.
oh, my shopping. I'll talk about shopping. I think that if you notice that people are friends by convenience,
Yeah.
or in a particular environment, and they don't really maintain the relationship out of it, then it means that there wasn't actually much there.
Mm.
And that's what I've kind of learned to navigate and work out very quickly now. I think as an entrepreneur and as a leader, you have to be able to judge people very quickly and make a lot of decisions and calls. I pride myself in being able to select the best talent, and that was the way that I was able to get success. I have my three secret interview questions that I use all the time that I spoke to you at as well.
Mhm.
And they're really just about being able to know a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I absolutely agree with what you said, and I also feel like for me, like you just come out of high school, you have that teenage thing in you that, oh, fake friendships, and like you just try to be better than the other person. But like studying abroad and also being away from my family has made me much more mature than I was when I was back home. And I felt like it's no one that you're proving to, it's no one that you're taking a revenge, or you don't want to be better than someone. Even if like my closest friendships break through, or like my most cherished friendships, or we outgrow friendships, you just you don't feel any sort of anger. Like you do feel angry for a couple of days, you feel hurt, but after a while you just feel like whatever it was like a beautiful thing, and you just move on, you just outgrow friendships. And you, until and unless you cannot forgive the person, you just feel like there's something heavy on your heart. And that's something that I feel a lot. And once you just are very open about how you feel, you actually let yourself free. And that makes it so much easier, because then there's no one that you're trying to prove, no one you're trying to show that I'm so much better or whatever. You're just working on yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that this is something that I've always done. I've always invested on myself. I've always said that the best return on investment is my psych and my therapy that I've done.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for all of the work that I did with my therapist. He became a beautiful mentor and friend, and he unfortunately passed away last year. And I have actually just published my personal blog website. It's got nothing on it, right? If you want to go visit it, go visit akeelakber.com. And you will see a line there which says, from my friend, I have learned from my friend and mentor pretty much everything. And that's referring to them. If you, it's the age old thing of like, this there's a lot to it. Okay, I guess you have to be able to work on yourself as an entrepreneur. It's really that simple. If you do not think that you're the best investment for yourself, then why
Yeah.
would anyone else think you're a good investment?
That's so
That's
true.
one thing. And
I want to clap. That's the best line. That's the best line.
it's really that simple. Like if you don't think you're
Yeah.
really, if you don't trust yourself, then yeah, why would anyone trust you? But then you have to make sure that you're not like egotistical and narcissistic and on Dunning-Kruger, right? The peak of Dunning-Kruger, which I think if you go into a PhD level, one thing that you really learn is you just get crushed. You just get crushed. As soon as you get into research, you start to be able to appreciate all of that. Yeah, those sorts of things. Yeah, I think it's very simple. Like the human mind is private.
Yeah.
And that taught me a couple things. One, that I don't know how other people are going to react in any situation, so I kind of have to release that. I can when I was younger, I used that extremely. Now I actually have a bit more understanding of people, then I can actually empathize and make predictions on it that I would trust. But prior to that, I would simply just have no expectation at all, no sort of, I guess, understanding, and it would still be valid. The other thing is about the human mind being private is that everything that we experience must be self-referential.
Yeah.
So all of the information which we can experience and understand something is purely from what's in our own mind. That means it's that saying, you only can know others as deeply as you know yourself.
Yeah.
And that applies to all experiences, all things that you're trying to solve as an entrepreneur if you're doing things in technology. It also applies to how you want to lead as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the human mind, as you said, and you're your biggest investment, I also feel like the way we think and the way how fast human brain works is just so fascinating, because sometimes you'll have so many ideas. Like my brain could make a trajectory for me to how to become a billionaire, and then I'm like, oh, okay, now comes the time to execute it, and then life happens. But before that, your brain is like working on 100 kilometers per hour and like doing some crazy things, and I really like writing them down so that I don't forget them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And things try to make sense to me after like having some conversations. So like today you asked me that why do you do the show, like what do you get out of it? Well, to be honest, this is one thing, like I do not do this to get something out of it, but I still get a lot out of it. So a lot of times my brain is thinking in something, and then I have like conversation with people. So like anyone who has been on my show, I have already had a conversation with them before. And it just feels like they're saying something that is relating to what I want to do, and that conversation just makes me go a step ahead in what I want to do. So last time, a couple months ago, we had Carlos on my show, and I had no idea about what I want to do in terms of my mental health startup. And like he just, I don't know what he did, but he just hit the spot, and I know exactly what I want to do with my mental health startup now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just I never started this show so that I could get something out of it. I'm just doing this out of because I really enjoy it, and I feel like everyone who comes on my show has so much to share, and I'm a very reflective learner. So
Yeah.
whatever I listen or see,
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
I reflect on that, and that helps me a lot. That helps me progress in my life.
Well, two things came up for me there. And I believe the way that you're saying you don't do this to get something out of it, but you're saying you get things
Yeah.
out of it, right? This is to bring it back to like business and entrepreneurship, this is a really important concept and a thing to understand that business people tend to understand a lot better. And that is that it's all about bringing value.
Yeah.
If most people think about getting something out of it, it's something simply not necessarily transactional, but tangible.
Yeah.
And if you are an entrepreneur, then you are trying to invent and change and create value out of nothing. This is one of the most beautiful things about
Yeah.
business, is that business people make value for society out of nothing simply by imagination and being.
Yeah.
It's that which you're getting.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's not that you're not getting anything from the sounds of it. It sounds like
I'm getting a lot.
yeah, you're getting a lot, and
I'm
that's
getting
value,
a
right?
lot.
That's
I'm getting
value.
a lot of value.
And for me, coming onto this as well, like I get value from this by being able to have more rich experiences.
Yeah.
I just came back from Stanford Executive Leadership Development. That was an amazing experience. I got a scholarship for that from the CSIRO on Accelerate program that I went through with my last company.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Also, Aqeel mentioned that Cyro created a position for him. They created a position for him.
Well,
like it did not existed. They created it for him.
You know, that should be unsurprising. Because like it's a thing that
Look at it.
Well, it's a thing. This is oh gosh, it comes down to, if you want to talk about jobs,
Yeah.
right? It's still quite sad that the standard processes for hiring, they don't quite work. And it's really problematic, because how can we have equity in being able to allow people to get into jobs and positions if we still really get the best outcomes from networking? And networking only works for certain demographics really more favorably.
Yeah.
And usually it's around alcohol, which is not a good thing for people as well. So we never did that way. We used our academic roots to be able to meet people, and then they just have limits of authority to be able to create positions to be able to allow them to do the project that they want. When it comes to networking, I want to mention things to all of the listeners. It's not like who you know or what you know, it's who knows what you know.
Yeah.
That's like the very important thing. And everything is also based on trust. So it's about being able to develop that trust for somebody to be able to create that position for you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as well, when you're hiring, this is a thing that occurs often in larger organizations, is that they create roles that they need to be able to fill their business needs in their position. But in reality, when you are hiring people, you can never expect them to be able to fit into that role, into that box.
Mm-hmm.
That's why my interview questions aren't really related to that. They're only lightly related to what the role is and what the business needs are, because I know that whatever they evolve into is what they are.
Yeah.
And you have to, as a business person, be able to work with that. Unfortunately, enterprise doesn't do that. So for the listeners that are looking for jobs, and it's enterprise, it's just find the people who are hiring or who are the managers, and start talking to them about their problems, and actually show them that you're willing to listen, that you are interested in helping them, and that would probably be a more effective means to be able to get somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Within, like, we had a lot of chat about entrepreneurship, we also want to move towards self-love, since you wanted to talk about it, and also because the third part of the show also focuses on self-love and solo traveling. So you recently told me that you did do solo traveling. How does that feel?
So I solo traveled, yes, recently to go to. Basically, what happened was this: I got the scholarship for Stanford.
Yeah.
And I actually had never gone on just a pure holiday before for myself, and I kind of wasn't in this one. I only decided to make a holiday for myself because I had the impetus of Stanford and something work related to do that. But I am grateful that I decided to go on this holiday. I went to New York for a week, then there was Stanford for a week, and then I went to the Cook Islands for 3 weeks
And then you
straight
fell
after
in
that.
love.
Yes, I met amazing human beings. I think New York is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something controversial. I think New York is, as a city, is overhyped.
Okay. I was expecting that.
It's except for the art. The art scene there is amazing, but really it's the people that make New York.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it's overhyped is there wasn't actually that much traffic. There wasn't actually that many people. I expected a lot more. People would say it's like due to COVID and all those sorts of things, but I think it's actually got to do with the fact that New York was designed to be great from the beginning. My God, are their roads wide? Their roads are so wide.
Yeah.
So when you actually decide to design something to be great, then it doesn't it will be able to do it without making a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a very that was something that I thought to myself when I was in Central Park. It didn't seem like it was making a big deal about itself because they designed it to be great and they just are. When you actually think about it a bit, it's like, wow, this place is incredible. It's similar in Stanford, definitely similar in Stanford. I would say in like Palo Alto and Silicon Valley, it's different.
Yeah.
There are people that aren't great that are trying to be great, and that's like the over the top American innovation hustle culture there as well. But then going to the Cook Islands for 3 weeks, that was completely alone. That was amazing, really, really amazing.
So, as you said about the New York roads are so wide, and that was an indication that the city was built to be something big. Don't you think it applies to our mind as well? Like people who are big in businesses and like entrepreneurs or something, they always were into something. Like if we look back at them doing things in their when they were young or doing stuff around it, it is always in that person. Like they know exactly where they want to go. They don't know exactly where they want to go, but they just know that they are going to do something that's away from what everyone expect, and sometimes their dreams do not make sense to anyone around them but to them, and they just like make it happen. Power of turning your dreams into a reality, like it's just in them.
I believe so. And this is where I would say something controversial as well, where
Controversy.
a
Bring it
lot
on.
of people say that entrepreneurship can be taught. And I think that entrepreneurship, what it is, can be taught. You read the lean startup, read 0 to 1, learn all your lean canvases. Sure, you know the tools, you can go ahead and do it. But then I think there's something very different towards founders and leaders overall.
Yeah.
That are really trying to do something else. It's a bizarre thing. It's a really bizarre thing. I used to actually have a lot more judgment towards others that would, I guess, not necessarily be like myself, or I would have judgment towards myself if I wasn't being a certain way. But I've now come to terms with the fact that people are just people and you accept them for how they are, and they are actually just going to optimally do whatever they want. They talk about like when they're from a young age. Okay, I can tell you some stories. I see my dad's in the chat here as well, which is great. So my dad sent me a Mother's Day card that I like drew. I
Yeah.
must have been really young because my handwriting was quite bad.
Yeah.
And I wrote on the top of it, AA Productions Pty Ltd on this Mother's Day card. I had a Happy Mother's Day, all that sort of stuff, and I decided to put on the back that it was a company that I made up, AA Productions Pty Ltd, and I put a barcode on the back as well.
Oh my god!
Like I had this concept and idea of companies when I could barely write. It seemed. Another thing is I remember early Web 2.0 days, there was this website called Email Cash. And it was essentially an affiliate advertising thing where you receive emails with ads in it and they slowly give you like tokens and then you can cash them in. Because I was like a kid, I had no money. This was my way to be able to make money, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw it was also like a rewards program. If you're able to sign on other businesses, that's something I saw. If you're able to sign on another business, then you get like 10,000 points. And with 10,000 points, I saw that I could get
10,000 points.
I know 10,000 points was a lot for that. That was like the most you could get if you're able to sign on a business to it. And with 10,000 points, I could get a SIM card. And this was, we're talking, mobile phones weren't really a thing. What it was is that my dad, he had a giant Nokia mobile phone from like when he was working, and I saw that as a kid. Nobody else had mobile phones really, and I wanted to be able to use it. So I went around and printed out these letters to be able to say, "Oh, I have a business opportunity for you, dear business owner," etc., etc. Learned how to trifold, actually how to so that you open it properly, put it in letters, and I went around after school and gave them to different businesses, and one of them at least signed up. So then I was able to get the SIM card, and there's a very special thing about the SIM card. And it was that you used to have to pay a monthly, well, you pay your monthly access fees now, right? But that would give you an amount of calls.
Yeah.
So this one was special. There was no monthly access fee, but they gave you $10 of credit. So it's just like, here, you get $10 of credit for free every month. And because I was a kid and had no money, that was the only way.
That's so cool.
I know. I wish I still had that SIM card.
Cool.
And
I love that.
I have no idea. We're talking like this was before OneTel. This was before many different providers were really out. And so I got the SIM card, put it in that giant brick of a phone so that I could use it and see what happened. That's like crazy. My hustle, I guess, there.
That's so crazy. I love it.
I think that a friend of mine, they are also an amazing founder in Canberra. You should definitely interview them. They used to do interviews on the Waroni as well. They used to host things.
What's the name?
Elvis Gleason.
Okay.
So they said something where it's like, if you're a founder or an entrepreneur and they go into a room, you just know the job's going to get done.
Yeah.
And that is something that I don't think can be taught. That mindset where it's like, I just am going to get this done.
Yeah.
That's the ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I remember both my parents are entrepreneurs. So my mom and my dad both are entrepreneurs. So I remember when I was around like 14 or 13, I went to my dad's shop, and my dad used to, like, whenever he used to just like go for a quick coffee tea run, he used to like make me sit to that place where he sits, and then you suddenly feel the ownership, like you are sitting on that hot seat. Now you are the owner here. And never, like, I've been sitting on that seat whenever my dad goes, like since my childhood, since I was born, but never ever a customer came to me when they were buying a product to ask like the specifications, or just when there's the part when you have to sell this product. So that was the first time. Now my dad was away, we had a helper, and then this very old lady, she was like around 60, 65, I mean, not very old. She comes to me and she's like, I want to get this, but I don't know the specifications. And so did I didn't know the specifications either, because I was like sitting there. I took like all the previous knowledge I've ever had of electrical appliances, and I don't know how, but I gave such a succinct, nice answer, because your brain is subconsciously active. Like like while a person is not listening to you, maybe a third person is sitting and they're like doing their own stuff, but they're also subconsciously listening to you, and they use that information when it is required, and
Absolutely,
it just automatically comes to your head. And I learned it in psych now, how it is actually done with like schemas and stuff. But at that time, I don't know, out of nowhere, I just blurred out so much information, and that was all correct. And I was like, oh my God. And then came the part, then I was supposed to sell. I was like, buy this product. This is the best product you'll ever need. And I just like created that need. This woman was so convinced. She was like, I'm going to buy this product like right now. I need it in my life. But she didn't buy the product.
What did she do?
So now comes the price.
Okay.
So the pricing was kept in a way that it was making profit to us, obviously. Okay. But she wanted discount. And of course, I was in India. So like everyone will be bargaining there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this bargaining amount is fine. Now I didn't know the rates too. I was like, just selling how much I can get. So I was like putting the rate that was written, and I was like, no, we can't go less. And I did go less, because I was like, this is gonna be my first time selling something. So I have to do anything but to convince this lady to buy this product, so that when my dad comes, I can tell him that, oh, you know what? I sold a product.
Made sales.
I made the first sale in my life. And she came down to a point where we were making a profit, but if we sell this item to her and the other person comes because there was a need of this product, we could sell at a higher profit and we could get more money. So I was like, I was emotionally connected. Like, no, I have to sell. This is my first product, even though we can sell it for a higher value.
Yeah.
But the other person did not let me sell that.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, you cannot sell it. Like, we will get a higher value for it. I was
Yeah.
like, let me sell it. Let me sell it. This is going to be my first sale. It doesn't matter. My dad won't even care. And he's like, no, I can't let you do that. I can't let you do that. I was like 13 or 14 at that time. Like, and then I finally had to let go of that lady because I was like, he's not allowing me. You should come back in 10 minutes when my dad is here. You would get that product. And then, but that was an important lesson because now when I started my freelancing work, I know that there are clients that are going to pay me higher for the work that I do. And I don't need to like do it for cheaper rates because I know that I can make the same money with clients that can pay me higher or like even like 5x more money with that.
Yeah, if you have to talk about the price, then, and that's like a significant thing, then you're probably not bringing enough value overall to that person. That's something that I would think. Just you have to really go for things that would have high profit margins overall.
Yeah.
Say no to other things. Like now, I guess I'm, after having exited my last company now, I'm in a very luxurious position where I can decide what I want to do. And at Canberra Innovation Network, for example, like what it has for my company, DSQ Studio, it says that we're an internal research and development company working on internalized IP. And it says some of our world-class consultants are available for select consultation. It's basically like, I don't want to take your money in a way, unless there's really something worthwhile. And you have to kind of, I guess over time, you work out what the value is you bring and what's worth it overall. But I totally can empathize with getting that first sale, no matter what. That's so cute. So cute.
Know, right? But that also made me realize that you need to know your worth and the product that you're selling, so you won't settle for less. There would be like people who would not know the worth of the thing that you're selling. But if you know your worth, you can sell it to the person who knows the worth, and you can sell it for a higher value.
Yeah, and I guess negotiation is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I know where my weaknesses are in negotiation overall, and you have to kind of work with them in a way. I, when founding a company, was in the position where we didn't really have what's called a BATNA, which is a best alternative to a negotiated agreement.
Yeah.
If we didn't get these contracts, our company's dead. So it was always about how do you make sure you get the contract no matter what.
Yeah.
And that means that it changes your mindset. You are always just trying to build the relationship. So that's something that I need to break out of a lot more now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess, my weakness. And I think that I have to take into account as well how I'm perceived.
Yeah.
And when I was just starting the company, when it was very new still, we haven't yet got the reputation. So the perception is that we can be pushed around a lot more with price. And I imagine that's what was happening there with you, to be honest.
Sorry.
Like, I imagine that would be what's happening with your sale there, right? Like they thought that they can push you around. And They just started to try and push you around, which is hard. And that's why you need to get that confidence to just say no.
Yeah.
And anchor it just quick, just no.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if you don't know your worth, no one else will. So you should know very well what you're selling. You should know very well about your skills. And once you know it, like take ownership of your strength. And once you take the ownership of your strength, you can sell it at whatever value you feel is right. Then you get you get ownership in that case. And I've seen it so many times. Like I apply it a lot of times and it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. And I guess you're talking from the context of freelancing your skills and services, right? And it goes, you can bring in self-love here a lot as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Where when you do practice self-love and self-compassion, which is something I was huge on. I still am. I'm grateful that I kind of got to a point where it really has got me to a beautiful place of peace and vulnerability. When you are practicing that, you increase your own self-esteem enough, which helps to be able to just not get pushed around as much.
Yeah. And also, when you are full of self love, when you love yourself enough, you just spread loving around you as well. People start feeling comfortable around you, and you just try to make the best out of your potential and the best out of other people's potential as well. And that just makes the environment so positive that it gives you a clear space of mind to work. Like, you're not thinking that this person is thinking this about me or whatever, because it no longer matters to you. Yeah. And at that point, you're not playing to lose, you're not playing to not lose, you're playing to win. So I realized that difference after like a long while, that it's so different when you're playing to just win and not lose. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, playing to not lose, like, I don't want to lose.
Right.
That means I don't want other people to be better than me. When I'm playing to win, I know that I'm the best. And if other people
Gotcha.
grow with me,
Gotcha.
I am supporting them. We are in this together.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. And I do apply this in many ways myself, but I do it in a different way. How I came across this is I will change the entire world and the rules around me for the game so that it will always be in my favor.
Yeah,
and I would always win. And so it's kind of like in any given situation, you can change it to be able to make it be a win.
Yeah.
You have the ability to be able to mold the world around you, your experience of it. If we talk about Viktor Frankl, right, the loss of our human rights is how we actually then feel ourselves in a given situation. And you can apply that to a lot of things.
Yeah.
CBT is great.
You can make things work out in your favor. Yeah, CBT as well. Like, in psychology, there are so many things like cognitive interventions and, as you said, CBT. So many things that we do. Even if everything is going wrong, you still have the potential to make everything work out in your favor. Now, let's, like, if we think about controversies, they're not, like, most of the times, they're not in the favor of a person. Made them famous, made them big bucks. It worked out in their favor. But what I'm saying here is that sometimes when you do not get something that you've been looking for, that has been your dream for like so long, and after like 6 months of not having it, you realize that you start counting the things that you got after it, and they were much more the things that you really wanted. Sometimes you just want things because they seem very fancy, but do you actually want them? And that's a very big thing. And also, taking advantage of the disadvantage is like so cool, because you know exactly how to turn the tables around. You might not be winning in certain things, but you're definitely winning in life.
Yeah. So I struggled with mental health issues really up until I was 30. Quite extremely, really. And I, in my 20s, I really just didn't want it to be my identity. So I applied everything that I could to be able to have a mindset to be able to work for me, and it worked out well. And I realize now that these are the sorts of things that have brought me to where I am as a good entrepreneur. And if you read books and everything, it's all kind of there, which is really validating. Yeah. I like to not read things and then get validated by a book later. It's like, oh, look, somebody worked that out like a while ago, or like they've been talking about this in philosophy forever. It's like, oh, cool, I'm just as good as them. And one of these things that I like to do is, I say it quite a bit, is that it's quoting Richard Feynman regarding quantum computers, and that is to turn bugs into features. And I would turn all of my mental health and neurodivergent quirks into features in some way, right?
That is so cool.
So that's something that was a quote from Feynman. I'm like, okay, I got inspired by that. Why don't I just apply it, turn bugs into features? So I used my anxiety as a way to energize myself. I would work out, like, I'm aware that it's going to happen, but I am going to be able to find a way to be able to make it work in my favor. In ways like that. So that's something that I think is a useful little life hack.
Yeah, my first sale. I wish it could have happened, but that also taught me that it's so important to know your worth. And if it wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have things to reflect back on while I see my worth.
Mm,
So take advantages of the disadvantages. Um, I also feel like in terms of what you were just saying, there's a lot of focus on your energy, because your energy is like very very, it should be very protected, and it's not for everyone. Because like when I think about myself, as I think about myself as a human that really wants to live for myself, as well as just do good things and spread positivity. But that doesn't mean that your aura cannot be turned into a negative aura, or like people around you might be very pessimistic, they might want to pull you down, or like
yeah.
just bring you down, right? But here the main, I'll once but here the main thing is just that when you know how to protect your peace and you know how to protect your energy, the other forces cannot break it for you. You
Mm,
are very comfortable being surrounded with less people, but knowing your worth, knowing the value of yourself, knowing your energy. And whenever things go wrong, I, instead of putting my energy in making them right, like I'll try my best, but if it's not happening, it's not happening. I'll not put my over energy into that, and I'll try to put that energy back on myself and become stronger. Because your energy also means how your brain thinks, and the way your brain thinks to do things, to mend things, you can
mm,
use them to like accelerate in the things that you're lacking. You know your shortcomings, you know the things that you have to improve on yourself. Your brain knows it very well. Even though in terms of like when you look at yourself, what do you want to do in the next 5 years, and you see yourself as that human, your brain has a rough plan in their head already. Like
mm,
it just knows it.
mm,
And knowing that your energy is something that you have to protect, and you just invest it back on yourself, you
mm,
become a better version of yourself every
mm.
time.
Absolutely. And I do believe that it's really important to protect how it is that you work and how it is that you operate. This is something that I've learned now, and in DSQ Studio, part of the reason for it is my personal research and development company that I will spin out things from it. And I will operate as a CEO now out of that, so that I have my way to be able to work with other people. And that is because it's like you said, people are going to bring you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are individuals that I believe that they may not have the ability to yet do things themselves, so they externally take it from others.
Yeah.
And you are at risk of being, I guess, you know, taken advantage for that. And I
Yeah.
definitely was. I definitely did get
People
taken
are
advantage
very
of.
insecure, and they try to project that on you.
Yeah, it's all projection,
Yeah.
personalization, and all that sort of stuff. And then it's impossible. Keep in mind, it is truly impossible to conflict resolve sometimes with that. You have to not bother. You
Yeah,
have you
absolutely.
have to cut it away.
You just
Like,
gotta shake, shake, shake.
yeah, like, I think not just shake, shake, shake.
Yeah.
I am actually brutal with cutting people off. I am brutal. Like I if you're stuck, it's hard when you get stuck in situations where you're with them, but you need to be able to then, like for me, it's like many year plans to be able to cut people off, right? Many years sort of things. And it's worth it. It's really worth it. And now my wisdom is to that if you if you feel that you're doing something for someone else, or rather, have it this. I learned that something that I should do is that all of my actions should be in service for another person. If you recognize somebody else not doing that, then they are probably somebody that would be risky for you to be able to work with.
Yeah.
Because they are of the mode of operation that is selfish, I guess. Let's just say selfish
Yeah, absolutely.
in some way. It's important for me as well to keep that mindset of always acting, and I only speak when I think it's in service to somebody else, which
Yeah.
is why like I'm good at conversations with people. Everyone tells me, Aqeel, you should write a book. And I'm like, what should I talk about? Or you should give talks. I mean, what can I talk about?
Your
It all
book
comes
should be
down to
like, you are a vibe.
I kind of need something to
No.
reflect on.
I am a vibe. That would be so good.
I believe that I'm going to be blogging a lot more. So everyone listening, look into AqeelAkber.com. There is no way to subscribe to that, by the way. If you want to email me, it's Aqeel@AqeelAkber.com. I don't know. I got a catch-all email address. How about we do this? Send an email to blog@Aqeelakber.com if you want to keep in touch with that. I will write about everything we spoke about now and my interest in it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of these lovely insights with us. Unfortunately, we're about to hit the clock. So, just to end up, I remember you said you're going to ask me a question today.
Well, I already did ask you some questions about how you were doing the sales, right? And the reason why I mentioned I was going to ask you a question was, again, it kind of goes to that thing where I will only speak if it's in helping someone else.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing to be able to recognize is you don't know anything about a person. You have to really ask. And as a leader, and even if I think about myself, I'm very technically skilled and all those sorts of things. But as a leader, you have to be able to delegate that stuff. You have to learn about others and be able to give things to them. So, gosh, I have no question for you right now. Not right now. Okay, how about this? What are you most proud of about yourself?
I think the human that I'm becoming. Yeah, that's something that I'm really proud of because I've seen myself grow in every step of my journey. I've seen myself as a person who did not like to I used to love taking revenge, like full bully type. But then I came to a person which was like so it's like super calm, super composed. I protected my peace a lot. Apart from that, the person that was like super scared of talking to people, to try out new things and doing it now, and everything that I do, I just feel like I'm doing so well. So I'm very proud of myself. I just feel like my whole journey, when I look back at it, I feel like I have never been like, oh, that was terrible, why did I do it? I have never told myself that no, I was a bad human. I was never a bad human. I have learned. I didn't know anything. Like, I've been learning through experiences, right? I have learned, I've grown, I have told myself how to do things correctly or like improve. So I'm just proud of the way I'm handling things and handling myself. So I'm proud of the human that I'm becoming.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Aqeel, for coming to Disha in Australia today. It is such a pleasure to have you. And to everyone who was on the live, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for all the love that you have showed in the comments. We have been reading them all, and thank you so much for everything.
Yes.
As we are concluding the session right now, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next Monday, 6 p.m.
Bye.
Bye.
What is the deal with my microphone?
It will